accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey guys, listen up. If you're over 40, I've got a little tip for you. The reality is, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. It's just a scientific fact. The good news? You can actually do something about it with Nugenix Total T. Look, you don't want just any testosterone booster. You want the best, and Nugenix is #1 all the way. It's the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster and the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC and Walmart. And right now, you can get a complimentary bottle by texting TIGER to 42424. Nugenix Total T is a game changer, and guys all over America are raving about it. So that's my tip. If you're a guy over 40, you need Nugenix Total T. To get your complimentary bottle, text TIGER to 42424. Text now, and they'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text TIGER to 42424. Text TIGER to 42424.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2. Twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Wendy's knows cold and soggy fries are the worst.
So soggy.
That's why we're serving up hot and crispy fries all day, every day.
And all night until close.
With natural cut potatoes, sea salted to perfection.
Show me that potato skin.
Wendy's hot and crispy aren't like other fries. We're your dream fry. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's hot and crispy fries.
Guaranteed to be hot and crispy. If yours aren't, bring them back and we'll replace them.
It's a new era for the 49ers.
Oh my God, Jimmy Garoppolo.
With a roster full of talent.
Deebo Samuel with the catch. The pass is going to be picked off by Bosa. Nick Bosa.
And it's almost time for kickoff. Welcome to the Kickoff Show with Larry Kreuger and Lorenzo Neal on 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. And by Harris Ranch Beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
And we welcome in from the Hilton Santa Clara, John Dickinson sitting in for Larry Kreuger. Lorenzo Neal is here. The 49ers and Cowboys going at it today. Divisional round of the NFC playoffs. And we're with you for the next couple of hours. Stop by the tailgate party, music, drinks, foods. Kids are welcome. Just stop by, say hi, low. It's a lot of fun and a party atmosphere. And I got to tell you, a lot of Cowboy fans.
Yes.
A lot of Niner fans.
Yes.
And this always takes me back to my childhood, my teenage years, and coming up when you were playing in the league at a big-time level. Niners, Cowboys, it didn't get any better than that. And they played last year in the first round, and it feels like a massive, massive event out here today.
No question, JD. It feels so massive that, our boy Larry, you had to come and stay in. JD comes out and go on IG Live. JD's all smiling. He's pretty in the face, slim in the waist. JD said, Larry, if you're scared and you're stuck in traffic because you couldn't get up early, guess what? I got you, and I'm going to represent. So me and JD, we're holding it down, Larry, till you get here. But I'm telling you, you're right, though. This is a game. I'm driving over from Fresno, California this morning, and I'm coming across Pacheco Pass on the 152, and we stop in Los Banos, and it's hundreds. I'm serious. Hundreds of people at the gas station. They got buses. It's Dallas fans. It's Niner fans. They're yelling in the parking lot, and everyone's just all fired up. I'm telling you, there's nothing like this rival This has been around the 80s and the 90s, the catch and all the things when you think about the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. It's been some rich tradition, two great franchises. And you know what, JD? If you can't get along, you might as well get it on. So let's get it on today, baby.
It's two great franchises, and it's also two thirsty franchises to taste being in the Super Bowl and winning a Lombardi trophy, because you got to go all the way back to the 95 season for Dallas. Hell, they haven't even been in a championship game since the 95 season when they last won the Super Bowl.
Right.
You go back a year prior to that, and that's the last time the Niners, when these two teams faced off in the NFC Championship game, the third of the 3 consecutive years, that's the last time the 49ers were able to taste Lombardi, losing a couple of Super Bowls within the last decade that have been highly noted. But, these two teams, great NFL brands, great NFL franchises, fan bases, but thirsty, hungry, almost frothing at the mouth type fan bases for this game, and somebody's going home today.
Oh, no question, JD, and I think that's a great narrative how you just set that up, talking about what the fan bases mean to the National Football League. When you look at these two brands, the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys, you have two brands that's been around. You have two brands that are iconic. You have two brands that travel well. The fan base from the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, it's unbelievable. You ought to see it out here. If you're not here, you're missing a party. You're missing just something that's epic. You see so many Dallas Cowboy fans. You see many Niner fans. And it's interesting. It's kind of interesting looking at just the fans, because you know that there's fans out there because the line hasn't moved much. There's a lot of money coming in on the Cowboys.
Ways.
Right.
Yeah, both ways. Both teams' fan bases think this is their year.
Yes.
And the 49ers, the Brock Purdy show continues here as the Niners look to continue their winning streak, which goes back toward October the 30th with the Rams. They've done it with Garoppolo. Now Purdy's taken over here, and another home game and another opportunity for essentially the legend of Brock Purdy to continue to grow. Dak Prescott got a little bit of the monkey off his back last week. Hadn't quite performed well in the playoffs, but Monday night, terrific game for Dak. They beat Tampa Bay, and they're coming out here trying to get to that NFC Championship.
No worries. No question, JD. So let's just go in, and before we dive into the, of course, the X's and O's and what this game means and what's going to happen today. I know we got plenty of time to talk about that, but let's go through and recap kind of last week. Sure. What did you see when you saw? Let's talk about the Niners, and then we'll get into Dallas. What you saw against Tampa, what made that unique. But what did watching these playoffs, and then of course watching Philadelphia? We got to talk about Philadelphia and the Giants. What did you see last week, and also what you see in Philadelphia with the teams that are still left in the show?
Yeah, I saw a 49ers team that was, I think, getting used to being in the playoffs again. I thought Seattle brought a real good effort early on in the game, obviously being able to take the lead. The Niners defense, a little bit vulnerable early in the game. I thought Purdy was a little shaky early in the game, missed that first throw. But the thing that stood out to me was that Kyle Shanahan was unafraid, even in the rain and in the muck, to come out and let his rookie quarterback throw the football because he thought that was the best thing for the game plan. I thought the Niners hung tough in that game. And it was, we talked about this a lot, Lo, throughout the season. The fact that you kind of wanted to see Brock Purdy and the 49ers go through a little bit of adversity to just see how they'd be able to handle it before it got down to a point where if you deal with too much adversity, you might be going home. Right. And I thought the game against Seattle turned out to be, in a way, the perfect balance, Lo, of they were tested. They had to deal with being behind at halftime and not maybe playing the best first half. The defense a little bit vulnerable, but they stick with it, and they're able to force the big turnover once they get the lead, and then the thing completely snowballs, as we've seen. Once the Niners get up by more than a score, everybody pins their ears back, and the turnovers start coming, and the crowd gets into it, and it starts flowing, and it turns into a rout, and that's what the Niners are able to do.
I agree with you. And I'm just talking about the Niners, and you look at the rest of the playoffs. When you think about the Niners, you think about Tampa Bay and Dallas, and you think about the teams that are in the playoffs. Do you feel that Tampa Bay and Seattle, two teams playing their best football at the end of the year? Do you think these are two teams that should have been outside looking in? Should they not have been? When you think about the momentum of those two teams, because let's face it, Dallas and the Niners both had great outings last week when you consider what they did and how they end up winning in the fashion they. But were those two teams, in your opinion, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle, two teams that necessarily wasn't hot, wasn't playing with any type of consistency?
Seattle got it together the last couple of weeks after the Niners beat them and sent them into the wild card bracket. I thought as far Tampa was just not a great team.
Okay.
So I think that as you look at Dallas, and Dallas played an exceptional game except for the kicker who kept missing the extra points. I've never seen anything. I know you guys will talk. We'll talk a lot about that in the next couple of hours here because that's a potential advantage for the 49ers. They stuck with Maher, the kicker, even with I've never seen three missed in a game, let alone four.
Never.
And he winds up keeping his job for the week.
But you remember the Chargers? Remember when I'm on that team? We're playing the Jets. Nate Kading.
Oh, yes.
You remember we were playing the Jets. We were a surefire, thinking we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Had all the teams. We had the great LT and all the weapons. Remember Nate Kading?
That.
What did he miss? 3 that night? I don't know, but I remember that. Like, oh, my goodness. He was missing field goal after field goal. I was like, oh, my goodness. So watching that game, but the Dallas happened to be on the winning end of that.
Yeah, they were up, they were scoring touchdowns, which is good.
Right.
And the interception in the end zone with Brady, that I think flipped it. That was Tampa Bay's opportunity to keep that game. But so as you look at the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are loaded. Their defense is loaded. This is, I think, top to bottom for the entire season, the top two defenses in the NFL. When you just both had ups and downs at different times, but I think as you look at it heading into the playoffs, these are the best two defenses clearly remaining at this point. I mean, the Eagles' defense is pretty good. They got a lot of talent.
They got speed.
They got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
But these two teams have been touted as at times historically great defenses this year. So it feels like they've been almost on a collision course. Got favorable opponents in the first round. I think both can hang their hat on that. But both teams, in their own way, handled their business.
Yeah.
And really, I think, quelled, if there was any doubt. I don't feel like there's a lot of doubt about the Niners going into that game against Seattle. I do think there was still a little bit of doubt. Could Dallas actually win one? The Niners went in and beat them in that first round before. Dak didn't have a great playoff record, but he played his best game of his playoff career, which I think, we're all recency bias. And so you look at Dak and you think, oh boy, if that Dak comes in to Levi's, the 49ers, this is going to be a tougher game.
It is. And there's several questions that I like to ask you. It's like, one is, you talked about the quarterback position. If I asked you to rank the quarterbacks that's still left in the NFC from best to worst, what's the order of that? And then I want to get into tell me with the Niners and Dallas Cowboys, where does the Niners have the advantage on defense, and where does Dallas have the advantage on defense? Kind of want to go through how do you look at it, before we get into, kind of the tell of the tape, before we get prediction and all that other stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, so if you look at the playoffs, just with playoffs and look at the teams that are left, how do you rank in the NFC, and we'll get into AFC later, but how do you rank these quarterbacks right now that's left?
Well, right now, I think Jalen Hurts looked healthy last night.
He did.
That's one thing I'll say. And he was throwing it and running it, and that's a whole different animal if the Niners get through today.
Yeah.
But I think Hurts showed something that we needed to see, because the question about him wasn't, is he capable or talented, although you want to see him get that first playoff win under his belt, which he was able to do, but he looked healthy. I almost put him off to the side in his own category at this point. And then you look at Purdy. I mean, how could you not like? I mean, it was a historic performance in terms of yards and all of that for Brock Purdy. Somebody playing in his first playoff game right now. But I think when you look at it, but when you look at it and you separate it, you could make a case for Brock Purdy right now being the best quarterback. You could really make a case for all three of them.
Right.
But at the same time, the Niners have to love the fact that Purdy's performing at the level that he's performing at, but there isn't some future Hall of Famer among any of those other two teams that are left. So I think, you could make a case.
That's why I wanted to ask you, because I think it's fascinating when you look
which Dak's going to show up, though.
Right.
I think that's the question for the 49ers. Bringing it a little bit back to this game, it's which Dak is going to show up. Is it the good Dak? Is it the bad Dak? Dak was a little bit more mobile in the game against Tampa, which I think can cause some problems for the 49ers. Yeah. What did you think of Dallas's game plan against Tampa, and how that translates to this game with the 49ers coming in and all the momentum and the 11 in a row?
I think you're absolutely right. Dak Prescott said, hey, I'm going to stop this sitting back in the pocket and think that I'm just going to be a pocket passer all day long. I'm going to make some things happen with my legs because I can, and I'm athletic enough to make it happen. And you saw once Dak Prescott got out of his way and said, I have to be a little bit more gutsy. I got to take a little bit more chances athletically to say I got to keep my team rolling, and he did that. So when I'm looking at these three quarterbacks that's left now, Jalen Hurts, like you said, you could put him athletic, all the things that he can do. And then you look at Dak, and then you look at Purdy. Now, for me, when you look at experience and you look at quarterbacks and you talk about just what have they done in the league, I think you would have to say who Dak won A or B, whatever, and then you would have to say Jalen because the experience.
No
and I'm just talking about just the amount of time.
He's been a starting quarterback that's had success for longer than Purdy has, no doubt.
And so when you look at it like that and you say, okay, so then if it's Purdy 3, you're like, well, shoot, if you're looking at it like just quarterbacks and what they've done, their body of work, it seems like the Dallas Cowboys in that retrospect. But the flip side, I think that, because they're like, oh, you're picking Dallas. That's not what it is. The reason why I think that he can play like this, a lot of it is because he plays within himself. See, I think Dak Prescott, for them to win today, because Dallas does have a chance, for them to win today, he's got to play great.
Yeah.
He's going to have to throw the ball. He's going to have to make more plays, in my opinion, than Purdy does.
Well, yeah, because you're looking at it in terms of, and I think you have to, you look at the quarterback with the other talent around the quarterback. And I think the 49ers are the most complete team. I think when you go offense and defense, I also think you could make the case that they've got the most weapons. Right. Philly's got weapons. Dallas has got weapons. All three of these teams have some big-time weapons. But if you separate the quarterbacks out of it and you start looking around at McCaffrey and Kittle and Debo and Ayuk, I think that's as formidable as anybody's, others, if you will,
totally
among the three in the NFC. And I think you could even make the case about the AFC as well, although there's some better quarterbacks in the AFC.
No question. If I asked you, JD, if I said, if you think about the receiver that's in Philly, left Tennessee Titans in Philadelphia now. Left Tennessee Titans was Brown. If you think about him and you say, okay, he and Hurts, who else on that team can hurt? If you look at who else can hurt you offensively, if you look at Philly,
the running backs can, and Devontae Smith can as well. I mean, they got two wide receivers.
Yeah.
They got tight end. I mean, I think a big part of the game today, when you just start getting into it a little bit, for the Niners, as far as their defense has been a little bit vulnerable. Like, we talk about the offense. Yes. We love talking about the offense, and I think the 49ers have the offense dialed. How do the Niners deal with Micah Parsons, who's going to be everywhere? Are they going to put Parsons over on McGlinchey and try to use him as a weapon in that respect? But flipping it around a little bit, because you brought up Dak, Dalton Schultz, to me, is somebody that's going to have to be contained on the seam. How does Dallas try to use him? The Niners have been a little vulnerable over the top. Do the Cowboys have the kind of wide receiving core that can beat somebody over the top? Dallas is going to want to stay balanced and run the football. When Dallas, though, has success, it is when they run the football a little bit more. They can get a little pass happy.
And that's what I'm hoping.
And that would benefit the 49ers to me if they're a little pass happy.
If you look at it, it's for me. If you're the Niners and you say, look, we're going to run every time wherever Parsons is, we're going to run at him. We're going to try to wear him out. And then if you're Dallas, you say, God, we're going to get to Nicky Bosa. So if Nicky and Parsons, if those two guys are kind of shut down, who comes up for Dallas on that interior line, and who comes up for the Niners? So that's the question, because it seems like if Nicky Bosa can't get home today, for me, it's about others, JD. What are the others doing if Nicky can't get home? And Dallas the same for Parsons, right?
That's where the depth comes in. I do think the Niners up front have more depth than Dallas does. I do think that, but again, it comes back to how mobile is Dak, because Dak hasn't exactly looked like the most mobile guy, but he did move around a little bit, and they moved him around a little bit against Tampa.
Right.
And the quarterback that can move has been the 49ers' kryptonite, in addition to, go back to the Raider game. I think there are some similarities with, the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb, who they can put in I think some similar positions as Devontae Adams. They have Schultz, the tight end, who they can put in some similar positions as the Raiders did in exposing the 49ers a little bit with Waller. And they've got running backs, obviously, that they trust. When you look,
of course, when you look at Pollard and Zeke,
Pollard to me is much more of a threat.
Pollard's
than Zeke.
More explosive, no question.
Zeke gets it by the goal line. Hey, run it in, get your fantasy points.
Right.
But Pollard is the guy that's really getting the job done and moving the chains.
Right. I totally agree with you. And for me, I don't think necessarily. I I think Dallas has an advantage. I don't know about you, JD. If you said, what's the Dallas advantage on defense, are you in the same church? I would say secondary. What say you?
Yeah, if you're just going secondary to secondary, right. I think that's the case. But again, how do you beat the 49ers secondary? You beat them
by blocking up front.
You beat them by blocking up front.
Yes.
You need time.
Yes, exactly.
You need time. And the other thing the 49ers have done in a lot of these games, Lo, and it's John Dickinson, Lorenzo Neal, Larry Kreuger's on his way. He's going to be here any minute. We're fired up. We're at the Hilton Santa Clara. Come join the tailgate party. Music, drinks,
it's a great
food.
Time.
It's outstanding. Kids are welcome. It's a family, fun environment here before you head into Levi's. It's the kickoff show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality, and Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. We're out here till 3 o'clock. Again, Larry will be out here momentarily. And you guys are going to be rolling here on into the afternoon with kickoff for this one at 3:30. The Niners coming in at 14-4. The Cowboys at 13-5. Woo! I mean, this is, in a lot of people's eyes, this is the most fun weekend of football. But there's a reason when you get the late game on Sunday, that means you're the #1 seed in terms of just games on the weekend, and that's where the 49ers and the Cowboys are.
And no question, JD, when you're talking about rich tradition, you're thinking about Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, why the late game? You look at Buffalo and, Cincinnati, the Dirty Natty, love that team, see where those guys are playing. But, yeah, that's a good game people want to talk about because what happened with Hamlin, now these two teams get them, 2 weeks ago, a guy on the field died, had to be, brought back to life, and now that game's getting to take place. So fans are wanting excited about that one. But when you just talk about pure football and talk about the overall Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, all the rich tradition, how many great matchups that one player goes to one team, Dion, primetime, goes to Dallas, wins the Super Bowl.
All those guys.
Right, and then flips back to San Fran,
Charles
and then
Haley,
wins it. Yes.
Charles Haley was a Niner who went to Dallas.
Wasn't that a crazy, by one player,
Ken Norton
win the Super Bowls?
Ken Norton came from after winning with Dallas. He came to the Niners and then won with the Niners.
Yes.
I know the back and forth. And look, if you're a certain age, if you're about mid-30s up right now, and you're a 49er fan, the Dallas Cowboys are public enemy #1.
No question.
They are the most hated.
No question.
Jerry Jones, and you think of Michael Irvin, and you think of Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman, and Alvin Harper, and Moose Johnston, and Dion when he went over. I mean, it is, you feel a different kind of way about the Dallas Cowboys if you're a 49er fan that is of that age. And again, I'm right in that wheelhouse where I remember growing up in Northern California.
Of course.
And you just hate it. And everybody, because the Cowboys have so many fans.
Right.
Like you always had, if you were a Niner fan, you always had your buddies were Cowboys fans, right? Because they were the flash and dash. They were America's team. Or you had an uncle who was a Cowboys fan.
Got that
or
uncle.
the cousins were Cowboys fans. Like all of that. And I'm still I'm hitting them back and forth. My cousin, my uncle, we're all going back and forth talking about this game, watching it from all over the country. And that's the beauty of this rivalry. It withstands the test of time, even though these teams up until last year, I think that rekindled it when the Niners went into Dallas and beat Dallas. That was the first time they played in a playoff game since that 95 January, which is insane. This is today the first time they've played in the Bay since that January 15 of 95. So 28 years ago, the last time they played in a playoff game in the Bay. That was to go to the Super Bowl and that was the third straight year that they had played in that game with the Cowboys winning the first two, and the Niners got them on that day.
Oh, no question. So, JD, when you look at this game, you think about just throwing angles before a revenge factor. Okay, so last year you saw the Niners in a tough situation. Dallas, all they have to do is get up and spike the ball. Some of the Dallas fans are like, "Oh, if the official get out of the way, he can spike the ball and then kick the field goal." Wait,
they tried to spot it themselves, which you can't do. They gave themselves about a 3-yard edge on that. Like you can't, that's why you have to have the ref touch it, because the Cowboys were like, "Let's do it," and then they moved it up about 2 yards. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
But when you look at, I think, that matchup, Lo, that was something I jotted down here I wanted to get into with you is just what do you take away from that? Because I think both teams are better than they were last year. The Cowboys were the favorite going into that game. The Niners, we didn't really know. They made it on the last day of the season. They were getting hot, but still had something to prove.
Yeah.
The Niners went into Dallas, though, on that January Sunday, and they were the more buttoned-up team. They were the sharper team. Both teams got a little sloppy. The Niners had to hang on for dear life late. They got the lead and then kind of collapsed.
Let it go, yeah.
Like a lot of just
Dallas
poor
came
plays,
pouring back,
turnovers, penalties, bad stuff. But off the jump, I mean, the first play of the game, I think Randy Gregory for Dallas was lined up in the neutral zone, like on the first. And the Cowboys, when they're not rolling, it's a lot of sloppy stuff like that. It's a lot of bad penalties. It's a lot of shooting yourself in the foot. It's a lot of, they ran a hook and ladder in that play, in that game early. That was a horrible
disaster.
Play. And the Niners were able to get the lead and stay comfortable. And then they got, as they have with some leads, things get a little weird sometimes when they get a lead. Jimmy threw a pick. They couldn't pick up a 3rd and 1.
Right.
If you remember, that was the game where Trent Williams lined up at fullback a couple times.
Try to make a
And they couldn't convert. And then Dallas ends up with the ball driving to win the game somehow when it was 23-7 in the fourth quarter.
Right. You're absolutely right, and that's what's going to be big today.
What do you take away from that game, if anything? I know Amari Cooper's gone, and Gregory's not there.
There's a lot of different faces, but your message is still the same. Your head coach, a lot of the glue nucleus on both these two teams are still here. So this is about the coaching all week long. Discipline, attention to details. Don't jump off sides. Do your job. Understand what's at stake. Listen, you're the Dallas Cowboys, your organization. They think we're going to make stupid. They think we're a dumb team. We're going to be penalties, self-inflicted wounds. That's what you're Cowboys, that's what you're preaching. And you're the Niners, you're preaching the same thing. Fast start. Don't give up the big play early like we've been doing. Don't let this team stick around. Hey, guys, we can't give up a big play. We can't let them start running. So both of these teams and these coaches, I think this game has been course one in the trenches, but I think there's a lot of carryover from last year because the Niners as a player, I'm thinking, okay, I know what they believe. They believe that they should have won that game. The Cowboys said we stormed back. We spotted them 20-something points. We should have, and we came back. We had a chance. If we get lined up, or if the official don't, at least we could had a chance to win that game. So if you're the Cowboys, that's what you're saying. If you're the Niners, you're like, look, guys, don't go out here thinking this team is bad. Don't go out here thinking this team is deadly. It can score. It's one of the highest powerful offense. They can play good defense. They're us. Yeah. They're a mirror of us, and how we're going to get back better is by not making mistakes.
Well, I think both teams are better. I think when you look at some of the talent in specific areas, I think, the 49ers last year didn't have Christian McCaffrey. The level that Brock Purdy is playing at right now, no matter what you think of, it's Brock Purdy in the future. Brock Purdy's playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo played last year or played at any point this year, and Garoppolo played well at times this year for the 49ers. They also, because of those two things, McCaffrey and Purdy, the others for the 49ers have been more effective. George Kittle now looks more like
George Kittle.
He looks more like Travis Kelce than he does a second right tackle or left tackle, lining up to protect or lining up to run. And so I think when you look at it, the Niners have some additions. Charvarius Ward added into that mix, so they're a little bit different. But I think you could go up and down the roster in the 49ers. There's more areas, where personnel from that standpoint, you could say, they have this player, and this player. They're better. But I think the Cowboys, and we'll see if it translates today, I think the Cowboys have played sharper this year than they did last year when it comes to being buttoned up more consistently, less of those horrible penalties and things like that, which really killed them in the game last year against the Niners. They were the better put together team to build that lead.
Oh, no question they were. And so now it's a situation where you got to see how these two teams, how they acknowledge what they did bad last year and how they make the transition to say who's going to play better. That's what it's going to come down. Niners, you're playing at home. They understand. Kyle Shanahan understands his teams at home. They need to make sure they play mistake-free football. Can't lose the turnover battles, because I think this one's going to come down to that, JD. Turnovers.
All right, he's Lorenzo Neal. I'm John Dickinson. Larry Kreuger's on his way. We're out here at the Hilton Santa Clara. Stop by, say hi, a lot of fun. Join the tailgate party, music, drinks, food. It's a kickoff show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality, and Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. We'll keep it rolling right here on 95.7 The Game.
You know what? Let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Hey, we can invite our friends over and all take turns yelling at the TV during the game.
But first, we should get a new TV.
Yeah, like one of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, so I'll start shopping on the internet, then head over to the Warehouse Club to compare.
But if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only has better deals?
Yep. We could save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Then we could afford a larger model and really impress our friends.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Attention, Bachelor Nation. He's back. The host of some of America's most dramatic TV moments returns with the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison. During 2 decades in reality TV, Chris saw it all. And now he's telling all.
It's going to be difficult at times. It'll be funny. We'll push the envelope. But I promise you this, we have a lot to talk about.
Listen to the most dramatic podcast ever with Chris Harrison, wherever you get your podcasts.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Harris Ranch, we do beef.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
Oh, it's doing great. I've been on it now for about 3.5 years. I've lost 67 pounds, and I feel better than I did at age 40. The only thing I'm just getting older. That's the only thing that doesn't stop. Other than that, I feel good.
Listen, we're all getting older, but that doesn't mean you have to feel your age. Are you ready to turn back the clock? It's 2023, and there's never been a better time to start looking and feeling young again. Introducing Andro400.com. Andro400.com has proven solutions to melt belly fat, increase mood and memory, increase energy, and bring that spark back to your love life. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435 to see which product is right for you. Try the safe and natural way to start feeling and looking your best. And there's nothing to lose with an industry-leading 90-day money-back guarantee. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill to see Signature Kitchen Suite's full line of luxury built-in appliances, including the first Pro range on the market with built-in sous vide, induction, and gas all on one cooktop. And now it's easier to build the kitchen of your dreams with the Dream Suite Savings Program with additional bonus rebates. You can see all of the Signature Kitchen Series appliances displayed beautifully in live working vignettes at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill or at friedmansappliance.com.
Trevor Noah has added 2 more San Francisco shows to his Off the Record tour, December 8th and 9th at the Masonic. All shows are on sale now at Ticketmaster. For your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah, head to 957thegame.com.
Hey, let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Oh, great idea. But first, we should get a new TV. One of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, I'll start shopping on the internet and then head over to the Warehouse Club.
Well, but if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only?
Yep. we can save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Or we'll be sorry.
It's back and it's better than ever. The 34th Annual Manufacturers RV Show at the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton. January 21st through the 29th. You'll see hundreds of RVs from dealers all over the West Coast. Like motorhomes, travel trailers, toy haulers, fifth wheels, van conversions, and truck campers. Go to RVshows.net for more information. Don't miss the Manufacturers RV Show at the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton.
All right, back out here at the Hilton Santa Clara. John Dickinson sitting in for Larry Kreuger. We got Neal here. Larry's pulling up now, so he'll be joining us in just a couple of minutes. 49ers and the Cowboys coming up. Divisional playoff round. San Francisco 14-4. Dallas comes in at 13-5. Cowboys able to beat the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football in the wild card round. The 49ers, of course, they got the extra day. That's where I kind of wanted to start this segment with you, Lo, is just looking at, and we talked about what the 49ers do well, what maybe didn't go well against Seattle, same for Dallas, and it's different every week, but from a physical standpoint, the 49ers have the extra day playing on Saturday last weekend and playing Sunday. The Cowboys lost a day. So the Niners actually have a +2 in terms of the advantage. Short week for Dallas. They went from Dallas right in the middle of the country to Tampa, back to Dallas, come out here for the game that's going to kick off in a couple of hours, where the 49ers, they were home. They've been home. They haven't been anywhere really east of, Seattle in a long time. I mean, they haven't had a lot of road games.
Agreed.
So the Niners come into this one.
I think it's an advantage.
A little more rested.
I think it's a slight advantage for the Niners. If I was the Dallas Cowboys and I was the coaching staff, I would have said, you know what, Jerry Jones, I would have been like, I want hyperbaric chambers at the facility all week, and I would have had slots for guys, have 2 or 3 of them there. And say, I want guys coming in there around the clock and getting all my guys. Everyone is mandatory. They got to get in that hyperbaric chamber to make sure that they're the oxygen in the right to push the cells and do those. For getting sure that you're healthy. I'd make sure that everyone had an IV on that team, whether you want to or not. I'm saying, look, we're going to make sure guys are hydrated, make sure the massage therapists are on the site and saying, look, because the first JD, after a game, you're sore. I don't care what people say. After a game, a physical game, you played in Tampa, you're going to be sore for those, 24, 48 hours. And you try to, usually Monday you come in, try to run, get the lactic acid broken up. Tuesday's your day off just to get away, to kind of let your body rest and mend. Wednesday, you start the game plan. The Dallas Cowboys didn't have that, JD. So what does that mean? That means Monday they played a game. Tuesday, they were probably off on Tuesday. They got back late that night because it was a Monday night game. So you didn't finish playing after midnight darn near. And then all of a sudden you got that Tuesday off, and now you're trying to get that game plan in. You're cramming on Wednesday and Thursday, and you have to realize probably Friday, short day. You flew out on Friday. Can't fly, probably flew out Friday. Maybe Saturday, not for sure. But you know what? And then you got to play on Sunday. So yes, you lost a day, a big day. So it's going to be interesting just to see if the 49ers can say, look, let's get on this team fast. Let's jump on them fast. Let's go ahead and try to make these guys run. They're still feeling a little bit of fatigue. They're still a little bit sore. How are we going to take advantage of that? But you're the Cowboys. Hopefully you rested up and you understand what's at stake. So this is going to be a tough game, but I do give the slight advantage for the Niners.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, it's all about little advantages here or there, and often you'll see a team that might have a one-day advantage, but this is a rare instance where there's actually a 2-day advantage with the 49ers playing Saturday to today, so they got the extra day, and then you take a day away from Dallas for playing the Monday night game. Although it was a blowout, even a blowout game, it's not like you're resting as you would in other sports.
No question. Even though it was a blowout and one-sided, you're still physical. You still have to tackle. You still got to play, and you got to go against guys for 60 minutes. It's a full game. So, yeah, I think the 49ers Can they take advantage of that situation? How are they going to use that to that advantage? And we'll see today how quick Kyle Shanahan goes up-tempo and see what he's trying to do to test and see if these guys are ready and prepared, because you did have a short week to prepare for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, he's Lorenzo Neal. I'm John Dickinson. Larry Kreuger on his way. We are at the Hilton Santa Clara. It is the kickoff show here on 95.7. The game presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality 49ers and the Cowboys here this afternoon over at Levi's Stadium. And let's get into just, all right, 49ers offense versus the Cowboys defense. We talked about all the weapons that the 49ers have, and Brock Purdy playing at an extremely high level. Dallas has one of the better defenses in the NFL. Yeah. Where do you think the Cowboys defense is vulnerable to attack from the San Francisco 49ers offense?
Yeah, I think that you got to get on that perimeter. You understand what the Dallas Cowboys is trying to do defensively. Defensively, the Cowboys want to make sure they can put Michael Parsons in the right spot to make sure he can run things down, chase things down, and blitz on third down and say, hey, how do we find a mismatch offensively for our defense? What do we need to do to come after the Niners offense to come after him? So so I know Kyle Shanahan, the chess match he's playing, it's very simple. He's saying, look, we're going to run at this guy. We know this guy's light. Parsons is lighting him behind. Sure. He's fast, but he's strong and he's athletic. We're going to put a hat on him and let's make him play football for 4 quarters. We're going to try to lay on him. We're going to chip him when we can. We're going to hit him. We're going to do all those things. I think that's one of the places that the Niners are going to try to exploit and try to make sure have some check with me, because he might go to the short side of the field. Like, okay, he thinks the Niners going to run to Trent, and I would also switch that and run to where he is. So that's one of the things that I'm doing schematically, offensively, especially in the run game. And then on the passing game, hey, I understand. I have playmakers all over the field. Debo, Ayuk, of course, McCaffrey. How are you going to deploy those guys? I look at McCaffrey today. He's going to have a big game. Because here's what happened, barring injury. Here's what happened with McCaffrey. You line him up in the slot, and either you're not putting a linebacker on him because he's too fast for a linebacker and he's going to run by him. They don't have a chance. Or you're going to try to put a safety on him. And the safety, he's too physical and he's too quick and he gets out of the way of the safety. So the safety really doesn't have. So when you're looking at McCaffrey, he's a nightmare that you don't have an answer for. No defense have an answer for him because of what he brings to the table. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to bracket him and do some type of zones on him.
Yeah, it is. And so it's all about Parsons for you. It's all about exactly. How do you contain Parsons? Exactly. How does Micah Parsons get rolling against the 49ers, try and wreak some kind of havoc as the Cowboys tried to win this game. As far as the flip side to that, with the 49ers defense, vulnerable to the big play early in the game. You know, Dallas is going to want to run the football. Sometimes they can get a little pass happy. I think the mobility of Dak, as we talked about in the first segment, is really a question. It's which Dak is going to show up. The good Dak, the bad Dak, the mobile Dak, the stand in the pocket Dak, as we welcome in Larry Kreuger here.
Big Larry.
On 995.7 The Game. Larry, glad you could join us.
We thought you were scared, baby. I was talking about you on air. Did you hear me? I was like, Larry's scared. The game's got too fired up. Larry's so fired up, he took the wrong turn.
I would have figured you'd have been here about 8 in the morning.
Right.
No. Great American Parkway was a parking lot. Was an absolute parking lot. Yes, and so, man, that's all I got to say. Good luck to everybody out there, because give yourself extra time. For sure today. But yeah, I don't know what you guys have already covered. You've probably already talked about the entire game. But
no, we're just kind of getting into
we talked a little bit about the rivalry.
Just what it meant.
Right off the top, because I mean, if you're of a certain age, I mean, it's 49. The Cowboys are the most hated franchise going.
I mean, I thought it was really cool that Shanahan showed the Niner players 81 and the 90s and, the rivalry, get a taste of it so they know that they're part of something bigger than just themselves or just this year's version of Niners and Cowboys. But a lot of blue coming in, a lot of Niner fans fired up. Yeah. Dallas travels well.
They do.
Perfect day for football, though it's very windy.
Yeah.
So I wonder kind of if the wind, just walking in from the car, it's a very windy day. I don't know if it's going to be a windy on the field, but it's windy out here.
Yeah, and it was noticeable. And I went down on the field briefly, I got here, I guess it would have been around noon, and walked down to the field because I could notice that the flags were really whipping atop Levi's, and I looked at the goalpost, and Robbie Gould was getting out there a little bit earlier, just kind of walking around. Then they did the whole thing that they do. They bring the flag out. They do all the thing where they prep for all the pregame ceremony, so he kind of got the boot there. But I went down, and it was whipping around, more noticeable higher than on the field. And I checked the weather app. It's 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. Is what's projected. But it was noticeable even on the goalposts that were going around, especially in is it the north end zone? It's the far end zone from where we sit.
Yeah, that's the north end zone.
Yeah.
And I think the wind favors the 49ers here. I mean, the 49ers, I think the big question is, can the Niners have success running it at Dallas's run D, which is like 22nd or something like that in the NFL? And then can Dallas throw it against the 49er weakness on defense, which has been their pass defense? So if it's a hard day to pass, if it's a really, really windy day, maybe that will favor the running games. And I think if you said one side's going to run the ball and stop the run, I think that side's going to be the 49ers today. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean, is this more of a run or pass kind of a game? The Niners came out and threw it against Seattle, even in the elements, which was a little surprising. Maybe some of that was trying to get Purdy relaxed. It was also, hey, that's how you want to attack Seattle, although they've been vulnerable to the run as well.
They have, and I think it's interesting just watching Kyle Shanahan's train of thought. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to do it no matter what we say or what we do. And I thought it was like, hey, look, why did you come out and just run the ball, pound the ball, do quick passes, get the ball out of Purdy's hand, let him have some success? No, he was going for the home run. And Purdy missed early, and you let Seattle run the ball. First play of the game, they pick up 8-9 yards on a run game. So you're like, okay, Seattle came out and had that mantra that, hey, we're going to run the ball. So I got to see what the Niners have to still be the Niners. And you want to test things out because you're a good enough team. You're playing at home, and you got to say, hey, look, we got to throw the ball. I get that. But when it's windy like that, I think that right now, if you looked at both these offenses, and I've asked both you guys, what offense to you seem more that it's by design and how, if you say, I'm not saying which one's more difficult, but which one's more difficult to defend? Which one's more, gives you more illusions? Which one is going to make guys, have to honor where they're at, honor the reads, and look at certain things? And I think that's the San Francisco 49ers, and that's not me being biased. I think that's universal. You look at the Miami Dolphins, look how their offense, how you have to defend every blade of grass because it gives you so many movements. And I think that's what the San Francisco 49ers have over Dallas. Dallas is going to stand up. They're going to go play action. They're going to go at you. They're going to try to still spread but it's not like the Niners, what they do with the zone, and they got the cutback in the boots and all those different things you have to defend, Larry.
Well, I mean, I like Tony Pollard the most of the Dallas weapons. I think he's easily the most explosive guy, and he can burn you as a runner. He can burn you as a receiver. They move CeeDee Lamb all over the place. Sure. So I think when he's outside, you're going to see him locked up on Charvarius Ward locked up on him. But CeeDee Lamb runs most of his routes from the slot, and that means he's getting Jimmy Ward. And to me, that's a great matchup. I think that's going to be one to watch. I think Dallas, in a lot of ways, is a one wide receiver team. Now, me saying that, I watch Michael Gallup go for 150 yards, but Gallup's had injuries. Gallup's had some inconsistency. If you look at the numbers, Dalton Schultz is technically their second receiver. But I think, look at that game from last year. I thought there were times where Dak really had a hard time hooking up with CeeDee Lamb. And I think if I'm the 49ers, if there's one thing I can take away from them today, I'd like to try to take away CeeDee Lamb and tilt the coverage towards him.
I would definitely roll the coverage toward him. When you think about that, JD, I would roll the coverage toward him. But so you look for Dallas, like he said, though, when you're looking at, listen, where you're standing, like, okay, you're going to roll the coverage toward him. But what are they going to do? Dallas, how are they going to comment? They're going to try to put him in a slot, try to move him around where you can't necessarily double him at all times.
No, and he's more comfortable, like you said, Larry, in the slot. Dalton Schultz is interesting. Pollard and Schultz are the two guys that I kind of honed in on. Pollard is, like you said, explosive. The Niners, vulnerable at times down the middle, or the seams. That's where they like to get Dalton Schultz the football. What's your take on just being able to defend Dalton Schultz and the chunk ability? I saw some similarities to the way the Raiders made the 49ers vulnerable on New Year's Day. That could the Cowboys replicate some of that with the tight end and with Pollard?
I think Dallas has got three guys in Gallup, CD, and Schultz. Those are their primary. They also go double tight end. They'll sometimes use 3 tight ends. The kid Ferguson out of Wisconsin is kind of an underrated player. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of 2 tight end today. With the 49ers, I think the defensive key is it's all about the Niner front. Can the Niner defensive front against a bigger Cowboy line, but also one that has some changes, and they've been some guys at different spots and injuries. McGovern's at left guard. You got the rookie Tyler Smith at left tackle. He's had a ton of holding penalties. I think he's got 14 penalties on the year, 9 holding penalties. Just talking to some of the players this week, they really like it when they start when D'Amico dials up games. The key play last week was 3 Niner defensive linemen lined up right. Ebukam lined up left. Ebukam took a hard charge inside. He took both the right tackle and the right guard with him. And Omenihu waited a tick, looped around, and got that paw on the ball, popped it out. Bosa fumbles. Force of the fumble recovery, I should say, and that was the biggest play of the game. Yes, JD said. So I think it's not about sending more than 4. I think it's about sending 3 or 4 and dropping 7 or 8, but playing games up front to make that Cowboy line that has a bunch of new guys in new spots communicate throughout the day.
He's right. And what did you think about that, JD? When you think about offensive line, especially Dallas, they're big guys, and so when you're thinking about that, Larry's saying, "Hey, look. How do you get those guys to move? What are you going to do when a guy crosses your face? If your shoulders go too far, now how do you come off when you got a TE, when you get the end goes first, the ET, where the end goes down first, like Larry's talking about, crosses his face, and then the tackle comes around and looping. So I think the Niners are going to try to get them like that, but that's also if the Dallas Cowboys, JD, that if they have a game on, now it's a twist stunt that the Niners do, and you could hit a big run in the running game because they twisted right out of an open in the space.
All right, he's Lorenzo Neal, Larry Kreuger. I'm going to hang out with you here to the top of the hour. It is the kickoff show from the Hilton Santa Clara. Got the tailgate party going on, and Larry, you were getting stopped left and right, I think, by all the 49er fans just ready to check in and show out for this matchup. Kickoff show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality here on 95.7 The Game. The other thing we were kicking around, Larry, in the first hour is just which team you have more confidence in to play a buttoned-up game. And I know you mentioned some of the penalty issues on the offensive line for the Cowboys. I go back, and I'm not sure how much you take away from last year's game, but if you go back and watch the playoff game from a year ago, the Cowboys were a bleep show in terms of just penalties and shoddy play, and there were a couple of trick plays they tried to pull on the 49ers to no avail that really helped the 49ers grab control of the game. The Niners kind of melted down after they got the lead, and it looked comfortable, and they were shoddy in their own right. But it's kind of which team do you trust more to play a more sound, cleaner game with a lot of mistakes? The Mike McCarthy teams tend to have a lot of mistakes, which bites Dallas when they lose.
It's a great question because this could be Mike McCarthy's final game as the head coach of the Cowboys if the Cowboys lose in dramatic fashion or in a big bad way. Who's more trustworthy? On the surface, I guess you look at it and say, well, man, the Cowboys are because Dak's a veteran and Brock Purdy's playing in only the second playoff game. Then you look a little closer and you realize that Dak Prescott ended the regular season with 11 interceptions in his final 7 games. Now, if he plays the way he played last week against Tampa, that bodes well for Dallas. But he's not been taking care of the football. On the other side, Purdy has been taking care of the football. The one thing you're not going to see, I don't think you're going to see the Cowboy running backs fumble. They haven't fumbled once all year. I don't think you're going to see Elijah Mitchell fumble. So ultimately, and Brock has gotten away with some iffy throws that could have been interceptions. So to me, I think the key part in this game is the beginning for Brock. We saw it last week. There were some nerves. Let him settle in a little bit. If I was Shanahan, I'd be a little bit more conservative, come out a little bit running the ball. Let him get his feet wet. Let him get the nerves out. Let him just let him get hit once or twice. Let him, get into the full game flow before I start taking a lot of risks with the ball in the air.
What do you think? Do you think they come out and you think that Dallas comes out and play 2 shell? You think they're going to come 6, 7 guys in the box? You think they're going to play single safety? If you're Dallas, how are you coming out to defend the Niners? I'm putting you on a spot, Larry, because I know you've been around this game. I know you guys have. So what would you do? How do you cover this team?
Well, the first question you got to ask is the health situation. There's only one really injured player today, and it's Jaron Kearse. And the Cowboys go with 2 stack backers, Leighton Vander Esch, is the big-bodied guy. And basically, they go with the big nickel look with Jaron Kearse and the 3 safeties. Now, if Kearse can't go, what does that do? I think in this game, if you look at the Cowboy linebackers, Anthony Barr, better going forward. Right. Leighton Vander Esch, 258 pounds, 260 pounds. Get those guys isolated in space on an athlete and make them play coverage. I think that's the key to the game for the 49ers. I think there's a lot of plays to be had there.
Yeah, and that's what I think that they're going to do, JD. I think that Dallas is going to play a lot of zone. I don't see them manning up because of McCaffrey and just what Larry said. You have big backers that they just, they want to go eat you. They want to get downhill in space eaters. So I think they're going to play a lot of zone, try to bracket a lot of these Niners receivers and stuff, and say, get home up front with the defensive front.
One of the other big numbers, just going back to the turnovers and the buttoned-up play, I wanted to make sure I had this right. And Tim Kawakami of The Athletic has been all over this, but it's the turnover deal with the 49ers. They're 14-0 this season when they have the turnover advantage.
Or even.
And they're 0-4 when they don't. So it's been like the Niners have literally been, hey, you win the turnover battle. You don't lose the turnover battle. You win the game like clockwork. You lose the turnover battle. You win the game. Sometimes we get in all these matchups. They're all great, but a lot of times playoff games come down to turnovers, and can you overcome turnovers if you have them?
One thing to look for in this game, the 49ers run 21 personnel, which is, just 2 backs, 1 tight end, real basic. They've been doing it forever. It's a dying formation in the NFL because it's a dying personnel grouping, I should say, because it's people go to the spread, right? Everybody's spreading it out. The Cowboys have faced 21 personnel on 27 snaps all season. It's the lowest rate of any team in the NFL. And so what do? They play the nickel. As I said, they play that big nickel. The Niners passing out of 21 personnel against nickel defenses, 42 of 51 for 505 yards and 10.8 yards per attempt. The Niners crush nickel defenses with their 21 personnel, and I expect they'll have a lot of success again. I think it's a matchup that really favors the 49ers when you look at how these teams stack up.
Without a doubt, if they played nickel personnel against 21, I used to love it back in the day when I had blocking for guys like LaDainian Tomlinson and Corey Dillon and Eddie George. If you played 2 shell and you said, I'm going to go with nickel personnel, we would run you out of the park, because now you're going nickel. What you're doing is you're taking the Sam Backer off the field and you're replacing him with the safety or a corner. So when you do that, that's why you talked about, Larry, that Kyle Shanahan, he says, okay, if you want to do that, I'm going to run you out of the stadium, and I'm going to make sure I exploit and see if that nickel really wants to tackle, if he wants to stick his head in there. So I think you're right when it comes to that matchup. It's going to be interesting, just the cat and mouse game altogether.
The other takeaway from last year's game, I thought, in watching it back this week, and the Niners have gotten away, I think, from really hammering the run, hammering the run as they did last year. By necessity last year. Different football team. This team's had better quarterback play. They've got more weapons. McCaffrey, the gravity and all of that has really opened some things up. But going back to last year's game, and I wonder if this rings true today, guys, is I felt like Kyle Shanahan really believed that, hey, the Niners are the more physical team and that they could hit Dallas in the mouth and Dallas wouldn't get up and wouldn't recover from it. And that's where, as we start to break down, how does Dallas defend? Do the Niners, they want to run the football? This could be a mano-a-mano, hey, we're tougher than you. Get back to that a little bit for the 49ers against the Cowboys. It worked for them last year.
Absolutely. And there's reasons, JD, we should see it again this year. Why? Packers ran for 207. They ran 39 times in that overtime game earlier this year for 200-plus yards, 5.3 a carry. And that was earlier. Now, recently, Dallas took on Jacksonville, whatever that was, 5 weeks ago. Yeah. Jaguars ran for 7.1 a carry. So, I think this is the game that, to protect Lenore, protect Hufanga, protect Gibson in coverage, I think this is the game where Kyle Shanahan really, it's mandatory that he plays, complementary football and run the football. You win the time of possession. Dallas, I think, is like 22nd or 23rd in the NFL time of possession. So they're not a big time of possession team. The Niners can do it either way. They can go quick strike or they can go long extended drives. I would try to win that time of possession. I think the team that wins the time of possession wins today.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'd be physical, but I'm playing with the mind that I think that we're playing next week and playing after that. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to show my physicality. But I'm going to tell you, if I'm the Niners, though, I don't come out and say, I'm just going to line up and play smash mouth football all day, because I'm going to kill you on the perimeter. You look at the Niners, what they put Debo in the backfield. Now you have McCaffrey and Debo in the backfield, and both of them on flares. Pick your poison. You guys just alluded to how the big Dallas Cowboys linebackers is, and now you got two guys in space, and now you're asking a linebacker, 258 pounds, to break down and cover Debo and McCaffrey. Have fun. So I'm gonna pound them, but at times I'm gonna try to spread them out. It's just like a run, like you said, Larry. You pitch it to them, you throw it to them, and now put them out on space, and you're still getting downhill.
All right, Lorenzo, Neal, Larry Kreuger, I'm going to get out of your guys' hair as we're up against it here. Okay. 1 hour in the books. I'm going to head back over inside Levi's and hand it off to you guys for the final hour here, getting everybody set up for what should be a good one. The divisional round, always tremendous. 49ers-Cowboys rivalry, always tremendous. So the guys are coming back next. Kickoff show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality. We roll on here from the Hilton Santa Clara on 95.7 The Game.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEBNOW1. That's 877-WEBNOW1.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Trevor Noah has added 2 more San Francisco shows to his off-the-record tour, December 8th and 9th at the Masonic. All shows are on sale now at Ticketmaster. For your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah, head to 957thegame.com.
Hey, let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Oh, great idea. But first, we should get a new TV. One of the top-rated brands. Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, I'll start shopping on the internet and then head over to the Warehouse Club.
Well, but if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only?
Yep. We can save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Or we'll be sorry.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you that money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help your business too. Just go to GetRefunds.com and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-200-1966. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-200-1966. That's 800-200-1966 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
It's back and it's better than ever. The 34th Annual Manufacturers RV Show at the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton. January 21st through the 29th. You'll see hundreds of RVs from dealers all over the West Coast, like motorhomes, travel trailers, toy haulers, fifth wheels, van conversions, and truck campers. Go to RVshows.net for more information. Don't miss the Manufacturers RV Show at the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
Guys, fellas, men, are you Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. Go to ro.co/Viagra to get generic Viagra for just $4 per dose. Do it by February 8th for 20% off and guaranteed shipping by Valentine's Day. That's ro.co/Viagra.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Harris Ranch, we do beef.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
And welcome back to the kickoff show. Larry Kreuger and Neal here at the Santa Clara Hilton, sponsored by Jim Beam, Bourbon Whiskey, and Harris Ranch Beef on 95.7 The Game. And it is the divisional round, the Niners and the Cowboys. Perfect day for football. Sunny, windy, but sunny, and should be a fantastic game that kicks off at 3:30. Maybe a historic game. In this segment, I want to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Since Brock Purdy took over Week 13, and this includes last week against Seattle,
The Niners are averaging 35.6 points a game. They are scoring at an incredible rate with Brock Purdy. And you think about last year, Niners-Cowboys, Jimmy Garoppolo in the second half last year against Dallas went 5 of 11, 45% of his passes he completed, 39 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick, and a passer rating of 16.8.
Wow.
So the idea that, the 49ers should worry because they've got Brock Purdy, I don't think so. I think the 49ers, I think Kyle Shanahan is in a place confidence-wise with Purdy that he never got to with Trey Lance or with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, no question. You're absolutely right. Larry, when you think about what Purdy's been able to do for this offense, it's been legendary. They've opened up the offense like you just alluded to. You can spread them out and throw it. You can go empty backfield. And Cal's comfortable with Purdy. He hides a lot of multitude of faults. At times when there's a breakdown up front, he's able to elude that and get out of the way and extend plays with his legs, move him, and you can move him from the pocket. So he's not statuesque. So when you're talking about this offense and you're saying last year and the years before that, it's like, the Niners have to run. If the Niners, we to set the over at under 150 yards, they need at least 150 or 130 yards to win football game. Guess what? We don't have to say that. If the Niners only have 100 yards rushing, they still can win because they have so many weapons outside and can throw the ball. That's what you're absolutely right. That's the difference. That's the difference right now with this team. The difference is you have a quarterback that understands what Kyle Shanahan wants him to do. You have a quarterback that can facilitate and get the ball to the weapons and let them do what they do. And he has no problem doing it. He knows where the ball's supposed to go. He's competent enough to understand that. He believes in his arm, and he lets it rip. And sometimes it's not necessarily the best throw, but he's confident. And everyone on that team has bought in. The offensive line, Kyle Shanahan, by design, moves him outside the pocket. So you're talking about a team that doesn't have to have freaking 150 yards rushing. The other side, though, the Dallas Cowboys, I think they do. They have to have a great rushing game today in order to beat the San Francisco 49ers.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Dallas comes out and tries to defend Brock Purdy. Now, here's some numbers that may give us an indication of what Dallas's game plan may be. Purdy led the NFL in passer rating when he's not being blitzed. If you did not blitz him this year, he had a passer rating of 113.6. I mean, he was awesome if you didn't blitz him. When Purdy was blitzed, he's 11th in passer rating. It drops down to 103.6. I expect Dallas to blitz a lot. I think they'll bring 5. I think they'll bring 6. Dallas blitzed at the 13th highest rate in the NFL this year. I think we're going to see them come after the young quarterback and send extra pressure and make the 40. The one thing that Dallas does more than any team in pro football, the Niners do it a lot. Dallas does it the most, and that's stunt their defensive linemen. They do lots of stunting. They try to get Micah on a one-on-one. And to me, if you say, what's the biggest concern you have with this game tonight? It's that Micah Parsons might be the perfect solution to Brock Purdy's mobility within the pocket.
That's going to be interesting to see how they can put a hat on him. And what you do, usually when you get guys that get back. They want to make sure that you can set quick. When you're offensive line and you're playing against a team that want to do a lot of games and a lot of twists and stunts, you got to set off the ball quick. You can't just try to stone them. So now that's when your athletic ability comes in. You got to make sure that you're taking small steps and getting back and get your hands up because you want to watch the switch. Boom, don't get committed to a guy. Boom, be able to switch that. Be able to switch, and now you boom. Ho, Ricky. So making sure that you guys got the calls down. That's communication today is going to be at a premium, Larry. The team that can communicate and talk and articulate what they need to do in the game while the game is going on at the line of scrimmage, that's going to be interesting because Brock Purdy, like you said, if I'm Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to come after him. And when I blitz him, he's got to know where that hot read is. And he's going to be looking at whoever the receiver and say, you got to win. But he's got to understand, usually when they bring someone, they're going to try to get that linebacker to hurry up and get out in that empty voided spot. So when that linebacker's run into that empty voided spot, it's usually a hole underneath. So it's going to be interesting how Kyle Shanahan designs plays that when that blitzer come and that linebacker tries to run out to that open spin, who's going to replace? So that's what it's about, the chess match today.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And what makes the 49ers so difficult to defend, I mentioned before, they use a lot of the 21 personnel, the 2 backs, the 1 tight end. But it's not that. It's the fact that Kittle can line up at running back.
Yeah.
McCaffrey can line up wide. Ayuk can line up in the backfield. Literally every single one of their 5 eligibles can be interspersed in any other spot. And Shanahan does this expertly as well as anybody. Now, let's flip the card, because let's talk a little bit about Dak. And Dak had a rough year. I mean, Dak turned it over a ton. Led the NFL in interceptions. He only played 11 and a half games, and yet he still led the league in interceptions. What we've seen recently, though, is he's run the ball a lot more often recently. And to me, if there's a wild card factor, it's Prescott running the ball in key third downs, whether the Niners are playing man and their heads are turned. That's the obvious one.
Yeah.
But even if they're playing quarters coverage, I mean, let's say Dallas burns them down the field to Gallup or Ceedee early, and the Niners say, hey, let's play quarters coverage, meaning 2 safeties deep down the field. Then I think that creates that room for Dak to get loose, and if they give him a lane, they're gonna have to rush Prescott in a coordinated rush, because if you give him an obvious run lane today, I think he's going to take it.
He will, and I went back and I started watching some of the Dallas games and seeing some of the interceptions. You know what? Some of these interceptions, receivers didn't come back to the ball. Some of them bounced a tip ball the receivers actually should have caught.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you saw the Jacksonville, the ball hits the receiver right in the hand and bounces in the Jacksonville defender. So you saw some of those interceptions. So I went to Niners, and I know Cal Shanahan and D'Amico, these, Ryan's the defense, DC. He's like, look, guys, everyone's talking about all these interceptions, but let's go through them. Let's look at them. Don't think this guy, now look, he will give you one, but at the same sense, we're not going to, everyone's talking about these 11 interceptions. We got to say, hey, this guy is capable of having this guy's thrown over 400. He's thrown multiple games with over 300 yards. So he's shown you that he can be a prolific passer. What Dak Prescott is going to show up. My job as a DC is to say, get him off his mark and to get him uncomfortable, to make sure. And one thing I like about the Niners, what I think that you haven't seen, and I think this goes throughout the league, I think the Niners got some of the best linebackers in the football, and they can run and they'll hit you. I think when you talk about the linebackers that the Niners, I think the Niners have a huge edge on this game with their linebackers, and each on the second level, because they can run and they can hit. So Dak, yes, you got to limit him. You got to have an equal rush, like you're saying, pressure him, and you got to make sure those linebackers hit him, because if you give Dak time, though, down the field, and if you don't get the pressure on him, Dak Prescott can cut you up.
Yeah, no question. But he was a turnover machine this year.
He was.
Led the league in picks. Cowboys had 14 turnovers in their final 7 regular season games, so they've been turning it over quite a bit. Dak, though, last week against Tampa was phenomenal. And, one thing that I noticed watching the film is that when he has his receivers, whether it be Schultz or Lamb or Gallup, and he has them and they're not getting separation down the field, he'll throw it up to them. Yeah, they all are good with the ball in the air. Lamb goes up, Gallup goes up. They'll throw it up to him on a simple out route. If they feel like the coverage, like the receiver hasn't gained any separation with the DB, they'll just throw it up, and these guys will go for it. And Schultz is about 6'6", 6'7", so he's a big target for sure. To me, the one thing to look for in this game, as far as Purdy and trying to neutralize Parsons, and I mean, this is going back to Steve Young days, but when the Niners and Cowboys got together in the 94 NFC Championship game, and Dallas had every weapon known to man on defense, they were incredibly talented, and the 49ers had this incredible talent as well. What did it come down to? It came down to the 49ers, with Mike Shanahan calling the plays at that point, using Steve Young on some naked boots right at Charles Haley. What did Haley do? Haley was an incredible pursuit monster. He made Canton based on that pursuit ability. Parsons is the exact same kind of thing. He's just smaller and even faster than Haley. But to me, that's how you neutralize him. You don't try to. I've seen a lot of teams. We saw it last week with Tampa. They ran away from Parsons.
No.
Parsons is so good off the snap. He's so fast. He chases that down. You cannot leave him unblocked on the backside and run away from him and have success. You have to bootleg in his face and take his over pursuit and use it against him.
No question. And that's why I'd say you line up and you run at him. You have check with me today to say where Parsons at, because he's going to go to the short side of the field because he wants to run that play down like you just alluded to. So I'm running right at him, have some check with me today. So we're going to go ahead and make this guy play honest and play honest football. And like you alluded to, also when you're talking about where he's at, so now we're blocked down and we'll get Purdy outside the pocket, and now he has a clear view and he can see, and he's a lot more effective outside the pocket. And I think that's where Dak Prescott, you saw him against Tampa, he had a lot of success when he gets outside the pocket. He can keep his eyes down the field, and now he can see more clearly. And I think Purdy works the same way. So it's going to be interesting to see how these quarterbacks and the offensive coordinators to navigate to get them outside the pocket where they can have clearer lanes and make the defense stay honest and stay home.
49ers are favored. 49ers are at home. 49ers have the better record, but are the 49ers the better team? See, in other sports, you play a very similar schedule. In the NFL, you play totally different schedules. And the Niners' strength of schedule was really towards the bottom. Now, Dallas's was as well. But if I said to you, who's the better team here? Who's the more talented team? Would you say it's the Niners? Would you say it's the Cowboys? And consider this, Lo. The NFC East was really a whole lot better this year than the NFC West.
Oh, right.
The Seahawks were in a rebuilding year. Rams lost their quarterback early. The Cardinals were a tire fire. The NFC East this year went 29-16-1 against the spread, against non-division opponents. It was the best mark in the NFL by far of any division in football. I'm asking you, are the Cowboys and these NFC East teams, the Eagles, who are both still alive, obviously, was the NFC East just a whole lot better than the NFC West and the Cowboys are the better team? Or do you think the 49ers have the edge when it comes to the talent and how you break these teams down?
That's a great question, because I think when you look at Philadelphia and the Dallas Cowboys, if they win this today, it'd be just like the Niners in Seattle. Those are the two best teams were in the NFC. A couple years back, last year, you look at the Rams and the Niners in the NFC Championship game. That's the best. That was the best. You go back several years ago, Seattle and the Niners going at it for those years because they were the two best. Now you look at Dallas. The difference is I think they were the best then. The difference is now I think that you still had a better conference, without a doubt, where the NFC East back there was better football, no question. But I don't think that they have the better team. To answer your question, I think it was I think Dallas played more tougher competition. I think they played in a tougher conference, without a doubt. But I don't believe that they're the better team.
It's going to be really interesting. You know, the 49ers secondary, it looks beatable on paper, but when you look at Dallas, they don't have the deepest wide receiver core. They had to pick up T.Y. Hilton because they didn't have enough guys. It's really it's CeeDee Lamb and then a major drop-off to Michael Gallup. I mean, Gallup's got speed. I loved him at K-State. But he's had injuries. Yeah. And he hasn't been able to stay on the field. Now, he comes into this one healthy, but I look at Dallas as, man, CeeDee Lamb's their number one. Then you could kind of make an argument. Is Schultz the two? Is Gallup the two? Those are the three weapons. It's not like some of these other teams where you've got to worry about wide receivers 6, 7, 8, all kinds of different weapons, to kind of handicap. Dallas, you know who they're going to. They're going to Lamb. Yep. They're going to Gallup. Yep. And they're going to Schultz.
No question. And so when you know that, that's why I'm saying if I'm the DC for the Niners, I'm rolling coverage to CeeDee. I'm rolling coverage to Lamb today. I'm going to make sure they got a guy on top of him, and I'm going to roll over the coverage. I want to make sure that he doesn't beat. I want the quarterback, Dak Prescott, when he takes the ball and he looks over it and he goes, he's dead. I can't even go to him. So I'm going to demand someone else to beat me, and that's what I'm going to do if I'm if I'm the San Francisco 49ers. CeeDee Lamb can't beat me, because if he's rolling and then everyone else, those other guys start popping up, because everyone else now starts concentrating. Man, can you shut down Lamb? And all of a sudden he starts seeing everything. He starts getting comfortable. You don't make him comfortable early. You want to make this a hostile environment. And we're talking about the crowd. You see all the fans out here. The San Francisco 49ers, they better be better. They better be louder than the Dallas Cowboys, because I'm telling you right now, Larry, there's a lot of Cowboy fans here. So you want to make sure you keep those guys quiet.
If we're talking about quarterbacks like we are in this segment, I think if you said make a prediction on the quarterbacks, I think it's the quarterback who does the best in the improv. Both these guys can improv. I think Brock Purdy, some of the best parts about Brock Purdy is his ability to use that, as Tim Ryan calls it, the Purdy pivot, where he drops back to pass. Now, you don't want to escape out the back door if you can avoid it. You want to step up decisively in the pocket. We saw it last week in the first score against the Seahawks. He drops back to pass, Purdy does. He scans the field left. He has
nothing there. He sees Nwosu and Bruce Irvin bearing down. They both had a step on the tackles. So what did Purdy do? He decisively steps up in the pocket, and as he did, he contorts his body to the right, and in one motion, before his feet are even planted on the ground, he flips it out, throws a perfect dime to McCaffrey in the flat. McCaffrey trots in untouched, and it was a play that was set up by that movement ability and improvisational skills of Brock Purdy in the pocket.
Yeah, and that's good. He's going to have to do that today because, like you alluded to, Persons, what he brings, the pass rush, and not just that, his ability to run things down. He's Von Miller, what Von Miller used to be back in his day. He'll run you down. Physical, does all kind of different things. So it's going to be interesting to see which quarterback, like you said, makes the more plays, the plays that at the opportunity to take advantage of that situation. Which one of these quarterbacks going to get you a couple first downs, on a 3rd and 2, take off and pick the first down, 3rd and 8, picks up 10 yards with their legs. Which one of these quarterbacks going to do that extra? That is going to be pivotal today because I think if you look at the Cowboys, it's 120 yards and Dak Prescott those for 250. If they do that, that tells you they're keeping the ball away. They got 30-some runs, carried the ball 30-some times, 120 yards plus, and get Dak to get you some type of 3 first downs, scrambling, or like you're talking about the improv, and he throws for 250 yards. Dallas is in that ball game, to my opinion.
Yeah, Dak running the ball and his improvisational skills are also a concern in this one. He started running more, and it was about a month ago, if you look at the numbers. He's averaging for the year 4 carries per game and roughly 15.8 yards per game. Those are not big numbers. But when you look at it and break it down over the first half of the year, second half of the year, first 7 games of the year, he would average 2.7 carries per game. So he was barely running at all. The last 6 games, he's averaging 5.5 carries a game, almost double what he did in the first part of the year. And, we think of that gruesome ankle injury that he had, but man, he's now more than 2 years removed from that. He suffered that in October of 2020. But then you look at the 49ers, and they're giving up some rushing yards. Yeah. Against the Raiders, Jarrett Stidham busted them for 34 rushing yards. Geno had 28 rushing yards. To me, that's a big concern because, I think the Niner coverage can stand up. But if somehow Prescott can escape the pocket and get to a safe area and extend plays and improvise a little bit, I think it's going to be really difficult for Gibson and Hufanga at the safety spots and maybe more importantly Lenore on the corner to stand up in coverage against these receivers for that long of a period of time.
It really will be, and that's why it's going to be imperative that the linebacker play, and that's what I alluded to earlier, telling you, Larry, that, hey, the linebacker is going to play huge here for the Niners. They're going to have to run things down. They're going to have to run with the aggressive and say, okay, he's kind of broken contained. I got to get there and plaster him. I got to make sure that I don't let him keep holding on the ball because now it turns into backyard football. When you look at Dak Prescott and you look at Purdy as well, if it turns into backyard football, these guys can make plays. They can go impromptu, like you're alluding to. So it's going to be important that the linebackers, and I think when you talk about that particular spot with both teams, that's why I gave the Niners a huge advantage. If Purdy's even with the linebackers on Dallas Cowboys, he can use his speed maybe to get out of the way. The guy's 258 pounds. Now, if you look at Dak Prescott, is Dak Prescott running away from Fred Warner? Is he running away from Heinz 57? Is he running away from the linebackers that the Niners have? I don't see that. So I think that you look at that and say, okay, that's got to be that X factor, those hidden yards that you won't be able to get if these linebackers can do what they're capable of.
Dre Greenlaw and Azeez Al-Shaair and, of course, Fred Warner, arguably the best linebacking core in football, and they're kind of the tone setters of this defense. I asked Azeez about it this week too, and I said, and it really seems like you guys are bouncing around, and that the team's energy feeds off of the linebackers' energy. And he said, you're right. He's like, we go out there and every time, when we break huddle, it's like it starts with us, fellas, and Azeez and Dre and obviously Fred. Yeah. These guys are physically dominant. They're all in the prime of their career. They play fast. They play physical. They deliver a lot of punishment. They can cover down the field. Yeah. They can be delayed blitzers. I mean, I think a lot of the swagger that the 49ers have as a football team comes from their linebackers, and I expect them to play big in this one today.
They have to.
Pete Carroll. Last week, I thought the game plan that they came out with is exactly the same plan that Dallas is going to have. They tried to run Kenneth Walker and go up top to DK Metcalf. Metcalf lit him up. Metcalf had 2 touchdowns on 136 yards. Now here comes Dallas. Dallas can do the same thing. They're going to try to run Pollard. Pollard's their number 1 back. Zeke's the big name. Pollard's the guy. And then they're going to go downfield to CeeDee Lamb. But you know the difference between Lamb and Metcalf.
Totally
How would you compare those guys? Because they're receivers, but that's where the similarities end.
Yeah, it ends dramatically. Lamb is more like the Ayuk, but probably a little bit faster. Very nifty, very shifty. I think that those you can put a hands on. When you look at Metcalf's too strong. He's physical. You can't necessarily press him. He's going to club you. He's going to club you and get down the field. And you saw what he did to the Niners. I think now you have Niners DBs, they match up better against Lamb because they can hold him, they can be physical, and he's not necessarily going to overpower him. So I think that you have 2 different type of receivers in both these 2 guys, like you're saying. Both are explosive, both are great, but I'm telling you, I'd rather face Lamb than Metcalf.
All right, we're going to take a time out. We're here at the Santa Clara Hilton, getting ready for the Niners and the Cowboys on a perfect day for football. Up next, I'm going to ask Lo, who sets the tone early? Who's Eric Davis from the 94 NFC Championship game? Who's the Dante Whitner against Pierre Thomas when the Niners and Saints hooked it up? There's always a player or 2 that sets the tone early in the game. We'll look at some of the key matchups. We'll talk about the keys to victory, and we'll find out who Lo thinks is going to be the tone setter as we get you ready for the Niners and the Cowboys. The NFC Divisional Playoff, 95-7 the game.
You know what? Let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Hey, we can invite our friends over, and I'll take turns yelling at the TV during the game.
But first, we should get a new TV.
Yeah, like one of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, so I'll start shopping on the internet, then head over to the Warehouse Club to compare.
But if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at Video Only, not online or at the club.
Video Only has better deals?
Yep. We could save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Then we could afford a larger model and really impress our friends.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Every week, Damon and Reto go inside the 49ers locker room.
The great Trent Williams.
He's always been regarded as one of the better backs in the NFL, but to actually have him and see him up close and personal, you kind of see why his reputation is what it is.
Hear a different 49er each week on Damon and Reto.
Bang, bang, Niner gang!
Brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef. Visit your local Rayleigh's, Bel Air, and Nob Hill markets for all your beef and tailgate needs.
When you open up a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, you're unlocking potential. The potential to do your own thing. Be your own boss. Steer your own success. Blaze your own trail. Each and every Sprinter van built, designed, and equipped to let you hit the open road and take on any goal. To help you follow your passions, reawaken that spirit of adventure, check all of those big, bold, exciting experiences off your bucket list. Owning a Sprinter van lets you live, work, and play out your dreams wherever they take you. 16 body types, a choice of gas or diesel engine, thousands of ways to customize. It's capable and versatile enough to help drive your ambitions. And now you could win your own Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van customized by Gretsch RV by entering the Dan Patrick Show's Ultimate Fan Van Sweepstakes. To enter, get official rules, visit danpatrick.com for your chance to win the Sprinter van. So go ahead, now's the time. Unlock your potential inside a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van.
Golfers, tee it up this Thursday through Sunday at the Golf Mart for the Callaway Fitting event and be the first to score the new Paradigm woods and irons. The woods are engineered with forged carbon to maximize distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a forged face for increased launch speed and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com and reserve your free custom fitting experience happening this Thursday through Sunday. The Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
When choosing a wireless provider, you're forced to compromise. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could get reliable service without a contract and save money? Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family, with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide, based on first-place rankings and Root Metrics first half 2022 5G assessments of 125 metros. Experiences may vary, not an endorsement.
The NFL playoffs live on Odyssey.
Throws, caught, touchdown as time expires. Unbelievable turn of events.
Non-stop coverage from the biggest sports radio stations in the country. Podcasts dedicated to each NFL team and postseason games streaming live for free.
Takes the handoff, looks right, throws right, end zone, caught, touchdown.
Your playoffs, your Odyssey. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Donate at carsforkids.org, and your car can be picked up tomorrow.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey guys, it's a new year, and your New Year's resolution should be to get rid of ED and low testosterone. The doctors at Prime Male Medical have many years of experience, and they're the leaders in ED and low testosterone. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Dr. Robert Rowley.
At Prime Male Medical, we have virtually every medication known to man to help men. We specialize in treatments for ED and low T, and we have a 99% success rate. Most impotence problems can be treated in just one visit. We offer a variety of treatments, including high-dose sublingual lozenges, ultrasound-based shockwave therapy, and injectable therapies. We can also treat testosterone issues when needed.
There you have it, guys. Make the call. Why wait? Let Prime Male Medical help you improve your lifestyle. KCBS listeners get a PSA test, testosterone test, Doppler ultrasound, and a full year of free visits for just $99. Call now, 415-761-4037. That's 415-761-4037. Or go to PrimeMaleMedical.com.
And we keep it rolling on the kickoff show here at the Santa Clara Hilton. And once again, as you just heard, thank you to Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey and Harris Ranch Beef for being proud sponsors of the kickoff show.
Love it. Those two are my favorite, man. Got my Harris Ranch Beef. Always got that bone in. You know, I'm loving that. And Jimmy Beam, come on. You and Jimmy, we go way back. Love it.
There you go. Let's talk about tone setter.
Yeah.
It seems like in these big Niner Cowboy games, there's always a tone setter. 1995, I'm sitting at the 50-yard 10-yard line at Texas Stadium. And Gerback in for Steve Young, and he finds Jerry Rice on a slant, and Jerry was gone.
No.
I mean, seriously, gone to the house, and the Niners went on and beat the Cowboys as 13.5-point dogs. Cowboys would go on to win the Super Bowl. That was a tone-setting move. 1994 NFC Championship game. Troy Aikman scanning the field. Niners playing a little bit of a zone. Eric Davis read his eyes, peeled off of his man, jumped into another route, and picked off a pass and took it to the house.
Remember that?
The 49ers were up 7-0 in a game they had to have. So I'll throw it to you. And then, tone-setting players, tone-setting moments, that's what Niners-Cowboys has always been about.
No question.
Who's going to be the tone setter today?
I mean, Larry,
who's going to get it going early?
Look, Larry, it's so hard when you threw that question out. You gave me plenty of time to think about it. In my mind, it's like it's like there's a party going on in my mind right now. You want to go with the obvious, Nicky Bosa, because you know Nicky Bosa. He's the MVP of that defense. You know who he is, MVP of the league, and he's always going to be Nicky. But for me, man, it's about the three. You know, you got the fathers, the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I got the three linebackers because I'm going to tell you, Larry, those three guys, they hit you. They set the tone. They're going to be all over the field. I like just what they're going to bring, the intangibles to the San Francisco 49ers defense, and I think it's going to permeate through that offense. So give me the linebackers.
Okay, you're going linebackers. So the Niners are going to have a tone-setting play on on defense. I like that as well. And if I had to go one, I'll say Dre Greenlaw forced fumble.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
Dre Greenlaw with the forced fumble. Shanny says he looks like Tyson.
He's mean. Seriously, I would have loved to play with a guy like because he's got that attitude. That bro, at practice, coaches would have told us to back down. Just calm down, because at training camp and all that stuff, I would have been trying to take his head because I know who he is, and I'd have been like, "No, you ain't." And they would have just been like, at practice, we walked and said, "It's on today. Let's go."
I told him,
I want him. I want some of that.
I told Dre this week. I said, "Hey, guess what? If you make a few plays, Jerry Jones, who's Mr. Arkansas, is going to be sitting up there looking down going, I wish he was a Cowboy. Oh, yeah. I wish he was a Cowboy. Make a couple big plays and make Jerry wish you were a Cowboy, Dre. And he's like, yep, that will do. That's the game plan.
What about D? I mean, what about offense? Because where are you going on offense?
I'm going with Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
The Cowboys have given up a league-leading 22 touchdowns this season to wide receivers. Over half of them have come outside the numbers. Who is the Niner receiver who has been the most consistent outside the numbers? It's Brandon Ayuk.
He's been a nails.
Ayuk is. I expect Ayuk now.
1,000 yards receiving. He's been on fire.
I would expect Trevon Diggs is going to be on the other side, so it's going to be Ayuk on Diggs. But I think when you look at the Purdy connection with Ayuk, and he throws that slant so well and so accurately, and then Dallas's tendency to give up touchdowns, I think Ayuk's poised for a big game, and I'm going to say he's going to be the tone setter. I'm going to say he's going to have that big pass play, either for 6 or that changes field position that kind of gets the crowd into a frenzy. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to have his moment today.
Well, and this is another hard one for me because, of course, Debo's going to do something. It's just impossible for not to. But for me, man, it's like this. There are certain guys that have to be great. There's certain guys that you said to Tony, you're going to look and you're going to say you're going to look for that player to be great because that's just who they are. They can't help it because the way that they go about it, I played with the great LaDainian Tomlinson. Everyone thinks that he's just a great guy. He'd walk out on the field and it's just what happened. LaDainian Tomlinson, he was one of the first ones in the facility. He watched more tape than anyone. He would come on an off day, me and him watching film. He's studying. He's just saying, okay, this guy does, okay, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to push him. He would talk to the quarterbacks, talk to him like, hey, I know I'm going to win this wheel route. I know this is what's going to happen. I'm going to push him. You're going to hit me on that post seam. Remember how many touchdowns you seen LT, cover 2, he runs that angle route, and he's right down the middle of the field, 70, splitting both safeties, touchdown. I think that this guy, I'm not calling him LT, but my goodness, McCaffrey, because of who he is in the 1-2 and the student of the game, I got to go with McCaffrey. Debo, I love you, Debo. And hey, Diddle, Kittle down the middle. I love you too, Kittle. But I got to go with McCaffrey.
Hey, man, since McCaffrey has shown up, the 49ers are 11-0. Let me ask you this, because this was kind of a question that we bandied about earlier this week. The Niners have not lost since McCaffrey. They lost the Kansas City game after the McCaffrey trade. But since McCaffrey's been on the field, they've yet to lose a football game. They're 11-0.
No.
Who has been – the Niners are scoring 35 a game. Who has been the bigger impact on their offense? Has it been McCaffrey and everything that he's been able to give Jimmy and now Brock? Or is it Brock himself What has been the big change in this offense? The Niners were scoring in the 20s. Now with Brock, they're scoring in the 30s.
Yeah.
But a lot of that also has to do with Christian McCaffrey. So do you give McCaffrey more credit for this offensive resurgence, or do you think it has more to do with Brock Purdy?
I think my dad used to say, son, if I tell you the moon is giving cheese, he said, tell me bring your crackers. He said, because daddy know what he's talking about. I said, what'd you say, Papa? He said, boy, I tell you the moon is giving cheese, bring your crackers. I know what's going to happen here. And I'm telling you, that's what I'm looking at this team. You know, if I tell you a duck can pull a truck, you might as well shut up and hook him up. Because when you look at this Niner, you ask me, is it Purdy? Is it Kittle? Who's the guy? For me, it's simple. When these guys go out, when Kittle goes out to run around, he tells you he's open. When has Kittle said the guy covered me? When have you ever heard Brandon Ayuk say, oh, I was covered? When have you ever heard Debo say, oh, I was covered? When have you heard McCaffrey say that they were covered? Those guys don't believe that they can be covered. So you got Brock Purdy saying, everyone's open. Give me time, and somebody's open because I got all these weapons. So for me, those guys are doing what they do. Purdy, because he says, you know what? I know that they're going to be open. If I get time, I know any one of these guys, I can pick my poison because somebody's coming open because that's who they are. So, man, I tell you, it's Purdy.
I would love to see Debo touch the ball as a runner early. Just because I think that Debo's one of those guys that he runs so physically. He doesn't look to run around. He looks to run through. And that's a great tone-setting element to this game as well. If there's one injury front thing to look for, it's Jaron Kearse. I think the Cowboys feel like they have a decided advantage if they put Kearse, who's a jumbo safety, on Kittle. But if Kearse is not healthy, maybe the Niners want to go at Kittle, who's been piling up huge run-after-the-catch totals. The Niners are one of the best run-after-the-catch teams in pro football, but they've been better in this area since Purdy took over, and Kittle has been the main beneficiary of Purdy's accuracy and his run-after-the-catch stuff since Purdy's shown up is off the charts. He's really taken off.
No question. For me, Kansas City Chiefs, if you're going to beat Kansas City Mahomes, if there's one guy, if you say, I'm going to take him away, if you're playing against Kansas City, you know who that is. That's Travis Kelce. If you could, but Hillman Mahomes just feels him, and they know where they're okay, I'm going here, and Mahomes already knows. Do you know you have that same type of relationship and that same type of, I'm not saying it's that good, but you do have a comparable type of kindred going on with these two between Purdy and Kittle. But guess what, though? The biggest difference is Purdy doesn't rely on Kittle as much as Mahomes rely on Kelce. Purdy has more weapons than Kansas City. Purdy has better receivers, better running backs, guys that can do more. So Purdy doesn't have to do that. But I think today, to answer your question, if you're looking at Kittle, I think they can say, let's go make them living with Kittle right now and make Dallas change and try to get off because he will win a lot of routes. And I'm telling you, Kittle will have a big game today too.
Niners beat the Cowboys at Jerry's World last year in the playoffs, the wild card round, to get things going and to end Dallas's season. Now, what is the big difference between that Dallas team and this year's Dallas team? I'd argue it's Tony Pollard. He's the key difference. Yeah. He's earned over 60 more carries this year. Zeke's workload has remained similar to what it was a year ago, but the big difference is Pollard.
Explosive.
And Pollard's got that requisite speed. He can get to the edge, and the Niner linebackers are going to have to play well and take good angles on Pollard in the run game. He ran for 77 yards on 15 carries against the Bucs last week, and that's a Bucs team that was really good against the run. And he's averaged over 5 yards per carry on over 190 attempts this year. So you're talking about a guy who has really had his bust-out year. I mean, I think you could make an argument that Christian McCaffrey should have been a Pro Bowl player instead of Pollard, but Pollard's had a bust-out year, and he got the nod from the players and in the Pro Bowl. But to me, if there's one guy that I'd like to take away from Dallas today, it's Tony Pollard running the football.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I think that you look at Dalton and you look at Jake at the two tight ends. I think if Pollard's having success, I'm telling you, low hats, and now that you're talking about Cesar, you're talking about 957, Greenlaw, and you're talking about Fred, those guys are going to see that run. And if Pollard's sprinting and he's having success, those linebackers have to come upfield. And that's when the tight end starts to come in the middle of the field, and that's where you can do the play action. So it's going to be imperative that you don't let him get going, because once he gets moving, Pollard that is, now you got to make sure that those tight ends, because now they can block and release, and you think it's a run, and now you have those little seams in the middle of the field that can hurt you. So it's going to be imperative that the Niners show that they can stop the run early, because now you're going to have to cover too many people on this field with too much long, and you'll have to cover them for long periods of time. So it's going to be very, very imperative that the Niners be stout against the run.
Let's talk about some of the key matchups in this thing. Nick Bosa, the Niners have to be able to pressure Prescott without sending 5 or 6.
Great.
They can't blitz. They've got to sit back and get it done with their front four. Last week, Nick Bosa was kind of limited against Seattle. He had 0 pressures against them. He was well blocked by the rookie right tackle, Abraham Lucas. And now you look at Prescott, he really struggles against pressure. I think Bosa's got to get pressure on him. Tyler Smith's a key guy. That battle with Bosa is going to be key.
Yeah, it is going to be key, but for me, man, it's not necessarily about Bosa, Larry. To me, it's about the others. How are the others up front when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, you're talking about the other guys, what is Ekman doing? What is Javon Kinlaw going to do? What about Armstead? These guys, because Nicky Bosa, what he brings to the table, but is Ebron, what are they going to do? What is the others? Because it can't just be like Nicky, get home. Armstead, the other guys on this team, in my opinion, other guys have to get home and put pressure on Dak Prescott, because you just can't say, okay, we got to think that our covers can cover down the field. You have to have pressure, not just with Bosa. Other guys, to me, has to make plays.
Yep, no question about it. Now, let me ask you about this, because the officiating crew working the Niner game today, called less penalties this season than any of the remaining 4 crews working this weekend in the divisional round series across the league. So as a player, do you like that? Do you like a game that's kind of under officiated? To me, I always felt like, I want to see consistency. Whatever you're doing, do it. Whatever your norm is, stay with it. But they oftentimes let more activity go in the playoffs. They don't want to decide these games. They don't want the Zebras to impact the outcome of the game if they can. So would you rather have an official crew like the one today that, doesn't call a lot of penalties? Or would you rather it be called tight and there be a few more penalties?
No, I'd rather be like today, but I don't want the officials to determine the outcome of the game. I get that. But when you got a guy like Nicky Bosa that can get after it, to rush the quarterback, you just want to make sure you give him a fair advantage for him to make sure that he can shine. And if the guy's got his hands in and he's holding, don't call it. But you can't let these tackles on a loud place, you can't let these tackles beat the snap count and leave early and neutralize some of the pass rushers. So I do like officials that let them play, but you got to be balanced.
Yeah. Tyler Smith is an interesting kid. He was drafted out of Tulsa. He played left guard most of the year. Now he's playing left tackle. And Pro Football Focus ranked him 62nd out of 64 in pass block win rate. He's going to be charged with blocking Nick Bosa. And if you look at Tyler Smith, he's number 1 in holding penalties this season. I think he's had 14 penalties on the year, 9 holding penalties. Bosa gets held a lot. And to me, if there's one thing that I'm a little concerned of, if the officials do let him play, and that includes an awful lot of holding against Nick Bosa, you'd hate to see the 49ers' number 1 defensive weapon neutralized because of an attitude from the officials that, we don't want to get involved. I felt like Bosa in the Super Bowl against Kansas City a few years ago was held, 6, 7, 8 times in the second half with no call. If you call it one way in the regular season, call it the same way in the playoffs or call it similar. To have a dramatic change in how the game's called, I think is unfair to the players.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why you hope that, that especially for those type of players, that's what makes them unique. You can't penalize them and say, oh, I'm not going to call it because it's the playoffs. But you have to realize the reason why the Niners are here is because Nicky Bosa have had success doing what you just alluded to. So if official says, oh, I'm not going to call it, then you're hurting the Niners' chance to win. And that goes the same for Michael Parsons. He's got to have the opportunity to get after the passer and not let these guys hold him. So I think you look at it, what the Niners are going to do, you're going to put 3 guys to that side and force them to go one-on-one with Nicky Bosa. And that's what this team is going to do today. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do. They're going to try to force the Niners to block Parsons one-on-one, and that's what both teams are going to try to do defensively to make sure their pass rusher can get home.
The Cowboys led the NFL in pressure percentage this year. Pressured quarterbacks 39% of the time. They finished second in sacks per dropback. Purdy really does handle the pressure well. He's thrown 4 touchdown passes and no picks when under duress since he became starter in Week 14. To me, it's really interesting to see about, Parsons is so special, and can the Niners somehow neutralize Micah Parsons and somehow don't let him wreck the game. The Niners have Bosa, the Cowboys have Parsons, both have the potential at least to wreck the game. Now, the AFC Championship game is almost set now. I'm looking at the box score, 6 minutes to play roughly in Buffalo, and the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow have a 27-10 lead on the Buffalo Bills, and it looks like it's going to be Bengals Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
How surprised are you that Burrow and company are getting it done today against Josh Allen?
I'm not surprised. When you look at Buffalo this year, at the end of the year, latter part of the year, Buffalo last week was in a shootout. They got in a shootout with the Miami team that didn't look that good. You look at Buffalo, they've been very, very inconsistent, haven't been able to run the ball. Josh at times has been kind of careless with the ball. Still a great talent, big arm, but you look at Buffalo, there's been something off kilter. Cincinnati's just a team, you know what, they play better defense. They have some talent. People don't talk about Cincinnati's got a lot of talent on that defense. They can get after you. It's going to be interesting because I look at this matchup and I think that Mahomes is already starting to have nightmares. Joe Burrows is not afraid of Mahomes. He's went in there to Kansas City and he's beat him head to head. He's had the chance, even with Mahomes with a double-digit lead. Joe Burrows has shown that he can do it. Joe Burrows is not afraid to go to other people. Is in that matchup, to me, when you look at it, Kansas City, you got to realize this is a game that Mahomes, for his career, because I'm telling you right now, some people will say, just like Brady had Manning's number, if he loses this game, you have to say now that that Joe Burrows is becoming Brady to Mahomes, and Mahomes is Manning when it talks about that series. Because I'm telling you, Mahomes, for his psyche, he needs to wins this game.
By the way, Josh Allen in this game is the Buffalo Bills' leading rusher. And Buffalo's averaging 3.2 a carry offensively. Their leading receivers, Dawson Knox and Khalil Shakir. It's not Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis.
That's a loss.
Buffalo, I thought Buffalo's surrounding cast was a little bit better than other people thought. But James Cook, Devin Singletary, I think they're going to be looking for a running back in the offseason. And, man, where's Stephon Diggs when the money's on the table?
Yeah, I saw him wide open. Josh missed him the first series, had him wide open. He beat coverage, man-to-man coverage. He splits safety, and then he beats the DB and then gets to the sideline, and all of a sudden he ball's overthrown by Josh. So interesting to watch that game go down.
Jamar Chase might be the best receiver in the game. He had 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. They targeted him 8 times. So Cincinnati up 27-10, 5 minutes and 40 seconds left to play. All right, we are going to let you hear a conversation that I did from the Niner locker room with Brock Purdy's roommates. He is roommates with Nick Zakel and Alfredo Gutierrez. Had a great little conversation with the 2 of those guys this week about what it's like to be a roommate with Brock and what the season's been like for 2 young guys cutting their teeth in the NFL. So we're going to have that coming up. And then Michael Irvin sat down with Damon and Ray on Damon and Ratto, and Michael Irvin, the playmaker, I could listen to Michael Irvin talk endlessly. So that is straight ahead. Lo, good to see you. We got more straight ahead as we count it down to the Niners and the Cowboys on 95.7 The Game.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never really thought about tools until I bought a house in the suburbs. It's like this weird homeowner test if I need a tool for a project and don't have it. And my neighbor Ted loves to give me that look when I ask to borrow a pole saw. A year ago, I didn't even know pole saws existed. And now I gotta borrow one from Ted? What is happening?
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Trevor Noah has added 2 more San Francisco shows to his Off the Record tour, December 8th and 9th at the Masonic. All shows are on sale now at Ticketmaster. For your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah, head to 957thegame.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Donate at carsforkids.org, and your car can be picked up tomorrow.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey guys, it's a new year, and your New Year's resolution should be to get rid of ED and low testosterone. The doctors at Prime Male Medical have many years of experience, and they're the leaders in ED and low testosterone. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Dr. Robert Rowley.
At Prime Male Medical, we have virtually every medication known to man to help men. We specialize in treatments for ED and low T, and we have a 99% success rate. Most impotence problems can be treated in just one visit. We offer a variety of treatments, including high-dose sublingual lozenges, ultrasound-based shockwave therapy, and injectable therapies. We can also treat testosterone issues when needed.
There you have it, guys. Make the call. Why wait? Let Prime Male Medical help you improve your lifestyle. KCBS listeners get a PSA test, testosterone test, Doppler ultrasound, and a full year of free visits for just $99. Call now, 415-761-4037. That's 415-761-4037. Or go to primemalemedical.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Harris Ranch, we do beef.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.